Great, thank you, Hara. Hello, everyone. As Hara said, my name is Nicholas Albaugh. I'm the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Librarian with the MIT Libraries, also the Economics Librarian. But basically, I'm the MIT Libraries point person for the innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem here on campus, helping students, faculty, staff, and researchers find the information they need for their startups, for their ventures, for their entrepreneurship research, for the entrepreneurship classes they take. I'm also the library's patents librarian. So whenever students, faculty, or staff need help investigating the patent space, I'm the one at the MIT Libraries who's here to help them with that. And one of the resources I'm going to show you today, called PatSnap, is the primary resource I use for patents research. I'm going to share my screen with you now. Okay, so this is the library's homepage, libraries.mit.edu. And I don't have a PowerPoint presentation today. The basis of my presentation is a sort of live online research guide that we've put together on innovation and entrepreneurship research. And you can get to it in a number of different ways. I'll put the link in the chat. Let's see here. Okay. So I put the link in the chat, so that should take you right here. You can also just Google MIT Libraries Entrepreneurship, and it should be the first link. So I'll talk about the research guide in just a second. But also, I just want you to know, for those of you attending today's workshop who are MIT students, faculty, staff, researchers, etc., going forward in your time here at MIT, if you have any questions about entrepreneurship related research, market research, you need help investigating the patent space, anything at all like that, anything within the realm of sort of finding information related to innovation and entrepreneurship, the patent space, etc., that's what I'm here to help you with. So don't hesitate to get in touch with me if you have a question. We can communicate via email if you'd like. During IIP, I'm working from home, but at the start of the spring semester, I'll also be in my office in Dewey Library in Kendall Square at least 3 days a week. So you can always stop by as well. So we can communicate via email, we can meet in person. We can also schedule a one-on-one research consultation via Zoom, whatever you prefer. But if you need help finding information related to your startups, finding information related to an entrepreneurship class you're taking, anything at all, don't hesitate to get in touch with me, okay? But, there are other ways you can get in touch with the MIT Libraries for help. I also just want to point those out to you very quickly. So this is the library's homepage, as I said. So from here, along the top, if you just hover over research support and click on research support home, okay? This page here lists a number of different ways you can get in touch with the MIT Libraries for help, okay? You can, for example, make an appointment with a particular research librarian on a particular topic by clicking on this link here, okay? And then you'd select a staff member according to whatever discipline you're researching and go from there, okay? So, we're here to help you find information, broadly speaking, and I'm here to help you find information related to innovation and entrepreneurship and the patent space, in addition to economics and other topics. Going back to the research guide for a second, my contact info, my direct contact info is listed for me, because I'm on my laptop, it's listed at the very bottom. If you're on a larger screen, it's probably on your right side, but this is me, obviously, but my contact info is here. My email is the only one that'll work right now, since I'm not in E53 and won't be able to answer that telephone number. But if you have any questions going forward, you want to meet with me about an entrepreneurship topic, finding information related to your startup, whatever, don't hesitate and get in touch with me. We can communicate via email, or we could also schedule one-on-one Zoom consultation, whatever works best for you. Any questions so far? Feel free to put your questions in the Q&A box in the Zoom taskbar there if you have any questions. Okay, also, couple words about accessing the resources I'm going to show you today. So, as I said, I don't have a PowerPoint today. The basis of my presentation is this Innovation and Entrepreneurship Research Guide. Okay, and I've put the link in the chat for you. It's organized around these tabs at the top. There's one for market research, company research, patents, etc. Most of the resources on this guide, all the resources, virtually all the resources on this guide can only be accessed if you are an MIT community member. The MIT Libraries pays to subscribe to a lot of these resources for you, so they are only accessible by MIT community members. In addition, a large number of these resources can only be accessed by MIT staff, faculty, and students, those with those specific affiliations. That's not our choice. That's the sort of agreement that we've reached with the vendors of these resources. So if you have some other affiliation with MIT, you might not be able to access all the resources I'm going to show you today. If you have any questions about that, might want to save a question like that till after my presentation. I can certainly help you with that question as well. Okay. All right. For my presentation today, I'm going to be using a sort of search example or research topic example, if you will. And that is, a startup that comes to me and they are looking to do market research related to mRNA vaccines. That's a pretty topical subject, pretty topical market, if you will. So I'm going to use that sort of topic example, mRNA vaccines, for the duration of my presentation. Okay, as I go through these different resources with you. And if anything is unclear, you need anything clarified during my presentation, as I said, don't hesitate to put your question in the Q&A. Okay. Okay. So as I said, this is the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Research Guide. It kind of centralizes what I think are the best resources to use for research in this topic, or in these topics, if you will. And the home tab is market research, because I would say the vast majority of questions I get as the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Librarian are related to market research, hence the topic of today's workshop, today's presentation. So, I've listed, on this page, there are a number of databases that you can use for market research, okay? It's not always clear which one you want to start with. Some of them have different strengths and weaknesses, and I'm going to go over those with you today. If there are two databases that I use probably the most for market research, the two sort of best overall databases, if you will, for market research, they're the ones listed at the top: BCC Research and IBISWorld. Okay, and I'm going to talk a little about both of them and do a couple sort of quick search examples in each of them. BCC Research is probably the one I use the most. The great thing about it is it has very detailed market research reports on, I would say, those markets that are most prevalent, if you will, at a place like MIT. So it specializes in market research related to, STEM related fields, fields related to science, medicine, computer science, technology, those type of industries. That's the kind of market research that BCC Research specializes in. It's not where I would go to look, say, for market research on, consumer products like clothing or restaurants or things like that. It specializes in market research related to, I would say, hard tech products and services, if you will. Okay, so I'm going to jump into BCC Research just so you get a better idea of what I'm talking about. Okay. All right, so going back to the topic of the presentation, which is mRNA vaccines. So startup comes to me and they want some market research on mRNA vaccines. Probably the first place that I would look is BCC Research. And it should come up in 1 second. Here it is. It's a very simple, straightforward database to use. You can browse, if you will, by category if you wanted. I tend to just do keyword searching using the search box at the top right there. So you can just do a very basic search like that. All right. So all I did was put in one search term, and in this case, it already autofilled with probably the most relevant research report, which is mRNA vaccines. So I could click directly on it, like to go to it, but I'm just going to do a keyword search here. And that one is directly at the top, obviously, but I wanted to search for the keyword as opposed to going directly to that report, so I would see other related reports that might be of interest in addition to that one. So we have mRNA therapeutics and global markets, and then some other related reports beneath that I'd also probably recommend to this researcher as well. But let's go into this top one here. Okay, so this is a basic report in BCC Research. It's organized around these table of contents over here on the left. So we have, different chapters on different subtopics. We have probably the most important one, the information that entrepreneurs and startups are most looking for when they come to me is market size and growth analysis. So these are the sort of, statistics, if you will, about how large the market is overall, how large it is in particular submarkets, geographies, etc. So if you look at some of these subheadings, we have market size and growth by region, by segment, by treatment type, etc. So these reports in BCC get pretty detailed in terms of submarkets, applications, etc. So that's one chapter. That's just one chapter. Here we also have information on, we have regulatory information, strategic information, pricing information, and then we have, company profiles of the leading companies in this particular market. So though, most of the reports in BCC Research follow this general table of contents outline in terms of the types of material you'll find. The other helpful thing is, you can download the whole report as a PDF up on the top right there. Also, though, if you didn't want to read the text, okay, if you weren't interested in the sort of analysis and you just wanted the sort of hard numbers, if you will, you can also click on list of tables and then download all the statistics, all the sort of numerical information into Excel or CSV. You can download all tables if you wanted, or you could just select specific ones, okay? So that's, that's basically how BCC Research works. Again, the table of contents that you see over here on the left, that's basically how the reports in here are broken down, okay? All right, but, as I said, BCC is just one of probably the two best databases that I use the most. The other one is IBISWorld, okay? IBISWorld is really good because it has very detailed reports on both business to business or B2B markets and services, the type of things that you would find in BCC Research, but that it also has reports for consumer products and services, the things you buy in the drugstore, in the supermarket, or on Amazon.com. So it has really good reports on both of them. So I'll jump into this database. Okay. All right. I would say IBISWorld, as opposed to BCC Research, the reports in IBISWorld tend to be at a sort of broader industry level than the reports in BCC Research, particularly as they relate to sort of hard tech products and services. But let me just stick with our original topic, which was mRNA vaccines again. Okay, let me just close some of these. Okay, again, very easy to use, just like BCC Research. Okay, so, you know, if there was a specific report on mRNA vaccines, it would have come up, would have autofilled. So in this case, in IBISWorld, there's not a specific market research report just on mRNA vaccines. But as I said, IBISWorld tends to focus on sort of broader level reports than BCC. So in that case, I wouldn't, you know, abandon IBISWorld altogether unless you really just wanted to look at stuff specifically related to mRNA vaccines. But, you know, I could also look at an industry report or market research report in IBISWorld on the broader industry of which mRNA vaccines are a part. So, for example, you could do, let's see, you could do like biotechnology, for example. Okay, so here's one. Let's just stick with so biotechnology in the US. The reports in IBISWorld are we have reports on the American market, reports on the Chinese market, and then reports on the global market for different products and services. Okay, so those are the sort of breakdowns, and there's not necessarily a report for every topic for every locality. Okay, this one, we have one specifically on biotechnology in the US, and like the reports in IBISWorld, the reports are organized around the sort of table of contents over here on the left. So we have industry at a glance. You know, this is where the sort of high level summary of the industry is located. We have sort of key statistics, key revenue, profit margin, industry structure, okay, number of businesses, etc., major players, okay, and then an executive summary. Okay, but that's just the industry at a glance section. Other important sections that I look at tend to be products and markets section. This is where we have detailed information about how the market is broken down into different subsegments, how it's segmented, in other words. Okay, so we have, in this case, this is the kind of segmentation information I'm talking about. All right. There's usually multiple segmentations per report, and then detailed information about each segment as well. Okay, so that's the products and markets section. We also have, okay, information on the competitive landscape. Okay, major companies. Okay, so who are the big players in this particular market, and what is their market share? All right. And then also we have key statistics, the very bottom of the report. Okay, just pull it up here. Okay, so here we have, you know, basically key statistics. The good thing about this section is, it has revenue, number of establishments, etc., wages, demand. The good thing about this is it has numbers going back all the way to 2005, and then even more important, it has projections going forward 5 years. Okay, so that's one of the questions startups and entrepreneurs are usually looking for is, you know, how is this market doing? How is it expected to grow in the next 5 years? So that's a really good feature of IBISWorld, is it has a kind of projection data. Okay, all right. So that is IBISWorld. These reports can be downloaded as PDFs, just like BCC. Okay, let's go back to the research guide here. Any questions so far? Feel free to just put your question in the Q&A. Okay, No questions so far. All right. So those are just two of the databases that are available here. And those are probably the two that I use the most. IBISWorld is probably, it has, the broadest range in terms of the types of products and services it looks at. BCC Research is heavily focused towards B2B, business to business, hard tech related products and services. That's why it's so popular at MIT. But we have a number of other, databases below that that are best used for particular types of questions. Okay. So for example, if two databases that I'll mention here are Forrester Research and Gartner Group reports. If you are looking for market research related to any kind of IT specific or IT heavy product or service, anything related to computers or information technology, Forrester Research and Gartner Group reports are great. They're pretty well known. Some people ask specifically for them. So definitely check those out if you're looking for market research related to IT, computer fields, etc. And the thing I will mention is that unlike, say, IBISWorld or BCC Research, which have a lot of hard numbers, if you will, about how, what is the revenue in a particular industry, what is the growth rate, what is the profit margin, how is it expected to grow in the next 5 years, who are the major players and what is their market share, those kind of numbers you will almost always find in BCC Research and IBISWorld, whereas Forrester Research and Gartner tend not to have those kind of hard numbers. They have a lot of really good information and analysis. They have a lot of good analysis on IT heavy products and services, written often for people within those industries. Okay, but how, what are the big changes happening in those IT related products and services? How are they expected to grow and why? Who are likely to be the best customers? So they're heavily, I would say they specialize in analysis of one kind or another, not so much in sort of hard numbers and market breakdowns. Okay. If you are, if the product or service that you are looking at as an entrepreneur, as part of a class project, is consumer facing. It's a heavily consumer related product. It's something that you would buy in the grocery store, in the drugstore, in a retail establishment of one kind or another. We have a number of databases here that specialize in consumer related products and services. And I'll mention just briefly a couple of them. One is called Technavia Reports. This is a relatively new database that we have. Okay. As I said, it's focused on consumer-related products and services, so wouldn't be particularly relevant for mRNA vaccines. But a lot of people at MIT are working on consumer-related products and services, so I definitely want to point this out to you. And the great thing about Technavia Reports is it looks at consumer-related products and services, but they're not just the sort of typical ones like clothing, restaurants, those type of things. They get very specialized and they're very sort of, I would say, technical leaning consumer related products and services. So for example, is like, just this is not mRNA vaccines, but just do like wearable. Just want to show you. Okay. So, we have, and this is, I just did one keyword search for wearables and a whole number of different reports come up, not just on wearables in general, but very specific types of wearables, wearable camera market, wearable wrist market, etc. So I wanted to definitely point out to you Technavia Reports, even though it's not related, it wouldn't be good for mRNA vaccine market research, but it is a great database for market research in consumer related products and services, and particularly tech related consumer products and services. Okay, so that is Technavio. Going back to the research guide quickly here, two other consumer-related databases specialized in consumer-related market research. Passport, Global Market Information Database, or Passport GMID. That is a heavily consumer-focused market research database. The great thing about that one is it has reports on consumer products and services for countries all over the world, not just United States, China, and global, like IBISWorld, but it has reports on consumer-related products and services for countries all over the world. Okay, so if you are looking at for market research for Latin America or Europe or Asia, definitely check out Passport. And one other one I'll mention here is called Mintel Reports. Again, that is heavily focused on consumer-related products and services. And if it does have a specialty, I would say it's consumer demographic information. So who buys particular products and services and why. So that is Mintel Reports. Let's see here. Sticking with our original topic, which is mRNA vaccines. Two databases I'll mention that are listed here. One is called Global Data Pharma. The other is called Global Data Medical. So if you are looking for market research in fields related to drugs, the pharmaceutical system, medical system, these are really great databases. And I'll just jump into Global Data Pharma briefly. Okay. All right. So it'll take you to a page like this, and you have to be, if you are on campus, you have to be on the MIT Secure Network. That's just a good rule. If you're on campus, make sure you're on the MIT Secure Network to make sure your access to these resources is very smooth. If you're off campus like me, you have to be on the VPN, and then you click on IP access. Okay, so it takes you to this landing page here, and the databases that we have, so there are different modules within the global data platform. We have access to the pharma one, medical, power, and then oil and gas as well. But I'm going to go into the pharma one because we are researching mRNA vaccines, like I said. Okay, so this is the landing page, and it's broken down into these different subsections along this toolbar at the top. So you can look for research on specific diseases, specific companies, okay, specific themes related to the pharmaceutical system, and then you could also do use this sort of database function, which I'll do for now. So you can do database, and I'm going to do, let's see here. Let's see. All right, companies. Let's just do companies. All right. Right here, you can just do, let's do, sticking with our Moderna. Okay, so this is a very important company, obviously, related to mRNA vaccines. Okay. All right, so here we go. Click on this. It'll take us to a profile. So this is a profile specifically for Moderna. We have a summary, some key statistics, and then like those other databases I showed you, it's the information on this company. In this case, it's broken down into this table of contents over here on the right, okay, where we have overview, we have financials, whole range of information here. Okay, we have insights, for example. So we have, suppose we only want information on what drugs this specific company Moderna has in the pipeline. There's that section. Okay, there's sales and forecasts. There's just a huge amount of data within global data pharma, and within the global data sort of platform in general, depending on your subject. Okay, so again, that was just, I was looking for information on a specific company, but there's a whole range of sort of subtopics that you can research within this database, which are very, very relevant to market research. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So one other thing I'll mention here on the market research tab is this last database listed here called Statista. Statista is not a market research database per se. It is a sort of all-purpose general use database for statistics. Obviously, you can tell by the title, but there does have a lot of statistics that are relevant to market research. So, I look in here all the time for data related to market research. So, sticking with our original topic, you could just do basic search like that. mRNA, right? So it just spits up what it considers the most relevant results. So we have, these are specific tables, okay? So for example, this one here. So each of these are they're just a table, a specific table. In this case, it's R&D spending of leading mRNA biotech companies 2020. The helpful thing about, or the good thing about these tables within Statista is each of them has a source. It tells you where this database got the data, got the statistics. Statista isn't the publisher. It's not putting together this information. It's sort of pulling it from all sorts of sources around the world and putting it in very easy to use formats like this. It'll tell you what each of these under details. It'll tell you where it got this information, and you can download this into Excel, PDF, PowerPoint, what have you. All right. So that's just one specific table, but also it often, if it's a big topic, it'll put all the most relevant tables into what it calls a dossier, a Statista dossier, like this one here, mRNA technology. And it has, so each of these, it has about 6 sections. And each of these sections have related tables in them, okay? So that is Statista. All right. Going back to our research guide here, any questions at all before I move on to another tab? You just put your question in the Q&A. Okay, all right. So no questions so far. All right, so going back to our research guide here, I spent all my time so far on the market research tab, but I'm going to just quickly show you the databases that are listed under the companies tab. So oftentimes when entrepreneurs are doing market research, they want information on other companies within a particular market. In other words, who they think their competitor is going to be. So you can use the databases listed on this tab to find information on specific companies. And in particular, you can use these databases here under company profiles, Capital IQ, D&B Hoovers, and Orbis. So you can use those databases to generate a list of companies in specific industries, in specific geographies, and break them down by different criteria. So for example, I'm just going to go into one of them, Orbis. So for example, because oftentimes when you're doing, when entrepreneurs and startups at MIT are doing market research, they want to know, okay, what is the size of this particular market in a particular area, or how many companies are there in this specific industry, in this specific city, because that's going to be their beachhead market, okay? So you can use a database like Orbis to generate a list of companies in a specific industry, in a specific area, okay? And not just those two variables. You can use, under create your search here, okay? You can use any of these different categories to sort of narrow or broaden your search, okay? So to keep our search pretty straightforward, I'm going to search for, biotechnology companies in Cambridge, Massachusetts, all right? So I wanted to see how many companies were there, how many biotech companies are there in Cambridge, all right? Very basic kind of question, but you could do, okay, you could do location, all right? City, do Cambridge. Okay. Right, there it is. All right. Okay. Once that OK goes blue, you click OK. It'll add it to your. It'll run your search based on that criteria. So in this case, we started out with, over 319 million companies. So that's basically all the companies in the world within this database. And now we're just looking at companies just in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So we're down to, just over 36,000. So here, if we wanted just biotech companies, you would do activities in industry. And you can use industry classification codes like NAICS or SIC. I'm going to show you a real quick one. So when it says BVD sectors, that's Bureau van Dijk. That's the vendor of this database. So if you click on that, I think they have one specifically for technology. All right, so they do biotechnology and life sciences. Goes blue. Click OK. Okay. All right. So now we're down to, so 469. So this database is telling me out of 319 million plus companies all around the world, there are 469 biotechnology and life sciences companies within Cambridge, Mass. And if I click on view results, it'll bring up a spreadsheet, a basic spreadsheet, okay? But then if you click on add or remove columns, so this just has a sort of basic rows and columns. But if you click on add or remove columns, okay, this is where you can add additional columns in your spreadsheet based on the search criteria over here, okay? So I wanted to show you that. So going back to the market research guide for a minute, or the innovation and entrepreneurship guide for a minute. Any of the databases listed here, Capital IQ, DMV Hoovers, and Orbis allows you to do what I just did, which is basically come up with a list of specific companies in specific geographies and specific industries. You can break them down. You can, break that down further. There are all sorts of ways you can slice and dice that from there. But that's often very helpful for market research purposes. Okay. Okay. So now we'll go to the top and click on the Patents Research Guide. All right. So as I said at the very beginning, I'm the patents librarian with the MIT libraries. That's pretty much the reason why I'm doing this presentation associated with the TLO. So students, startups, researchers often come to us with questions about the patent space, okay? They could be doing research for a specific class, but oftentimes, they want to see if a particular product or technology they're developing is it already exists, and if it's already been patented, and that that weighs heavily on whether it has or has not, weighs heavily on whether they go forward with that specific product or service. So they need to take a look at the existing patent literature or the prior art, if you will, and to see if there is prior art or if a product or device has been already patented. So I've listed here a number of resources that you can use to do patent-related research. There are a number of options available. You know, a lot of these are free resources. So is PatSnap, that's the online patent search tool for the European Patent Office. We have Google Patents, obviously, which a number of you have probably used. It's a free resource. It's a Google product. It's easy to use. There's at the very bottom, there's the USPTO website. That's the United States Patent and Trademark Office. That's the body, that's the government body which issues patents and trademarks in the United States. That's very much a legacy tool. It's not necessarily the easiest to use. If you have experience using that, I would, you know, go ahead and keep using it. But I would probably recommend using one of these other ones. In particular, the database I'm going to show you now is called PatSnap. Okay, so PatSnap is the patent research tool that the MIT libraries subscribe to. So we pay a subscription fee to provide access to this resource. So it is a patent search tool. It has access to patents in the United States, Europe, around the world. You don't need an account to search it, but if you're planning to do anything with your search results, basically, I definitely recommend that you sign up for an account using your MIT email. Okay, once you're registered and you're sort of log in to PatSnap, it'll take you to this page. Okay, so you know, this is the basic search page for PatSnap. So you could just you could put in you could put in keywords here. You could put in specific patent numbers, the names of particular companies, inventors, etc. I tend to use the advanced search option. This is one of the things that makes PatSnap so worthwhile, especially compared to Google Patents or the USPTO. It allows you to get very, very specific in how you're searching for your patents, what fields of a patent you're searching in, et cetera, et cetera. So the option, okay, is just, let's see here. Here, the option is just, the default is to just search anywhere, okay, within a patent, all right? Let's see, I'll do it again. Let me clear it. All right. So the option is usually main fields, and that's basically searching anywhere in the patent. What I tend to do
Hello, everyone. I think the session crashed. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Did the session stop for you?
Yeah, did it stop for you or?
Yes, I was kicked out.
Okay.
But we're back.
Okay. Okay, I will continue. Yeah, it just sort of closed. Like it didn't even. Okay, so it closed. It wasn't just for me then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. Let me reshare my screen with you. Okay. All right. So sorry about the interruption, folks. Again, we are within PatSnap. which is the patents search tool that the MIT library subscribes to. And as I was saying, I tend to use the advanced search field, and then I specify title abstract claims. The reason I do that is I want PatSnap to search just those fields of patent, which I would consider the most important ones. So the title is the title of a patent. The abstract is a brief one-paragraph summary of a patent. And then probably most important is the claims section. Okay, so the claims is the heart of the patent heart of the patent, if you will. Basically, only that which is described in the claims section is what receives patent protection if it is granted. So I just searched those fields, okay? So let's, sticking with our original topic here, we could do, all right, mRNA vaccines, and it'll tell me how many patents down there. So we can do search. Okay. All right, so it'll tell me, you know, it'll bring up my list of results here. And, you know, this is the reason why I want to register for an account. So you can use these options here at the toolbar to analyze your results. So for example, it'll immediately sort of pull up some helpful sort of tables and charts related to your search results. Okay, in terms of application trends, obviously there's been a huge increase in patent applications from 2013 onwards. We have top assignees, authorities, etc. So that's the analysis function. You can also export. You can export your results into a number of different formats. You can export them into Excel, CSV, PDF, Word, what have you, and you can specify exactly what fields of patent you want exported into your spreadsheet. All right. You can set up a search alert. So basically, if you were to click on that, you know, whatever search you did, anytime a new patent is released that matches that search, you'll get an email, basically. So that's helpful. You can also, you know, save your results to your PatSnap workspace as well. In addition, so we got a very large number of results back. Okay, so you know you're going to want to narrow that list down. Obviously, oftentimes so you could put in additional keywords. But I mean, again, all I did was mRNA vaccines. You could put a particular technology as an additional keyword, but you can also use these filter options over here on the left to break this list down. So, you know, the top option is assignee, so that's who actually receives the patent. But you can also use these other options here. So you can do authority. So, you know, you have to apply for a patent in particular jurisdictions. You know, you don't just get one patent that's good for the whole world. You have to apply for a patent in the United States, in Europe, in China, Japan, what have you. So if you were only interested in for this initial phase of your IP, if you're only interested in the United States, you could click on United States under authority, find, right? You know, if you were only interested in, if you weren't doing historical research, okay, and you were pretty sure that, this was very, very cutting edge technology you were working on, you could also limit it, you could do, you can limit by publication year, okay? So for example, you could do, so as you just wanted stuff from last year, okay, you could do 2021, refine, okay? So now we're down to 108 results, basically, or 120 results, all published in 2021 for the United States, okay? All right, so let's just take a look. And again, those are just two options over here on the left that you can use to refine your results, all right? But let's just go into one of these here. Okay. So this is the basic record. For a patent within PatSnap, we have obviously our abstract is at the very top. This is a brief summary. Okay, we have our claims section. You can access the different options, the different sections of the patent over here on the left. So this is the claims section. That's the section you definitely want to spend some time looking at, because that is what is actually covered by the patent. We have all of our sort of technical images and sort of illustrations. You have PDF. Okay. You know, under citation, you know, if your patent was this section will usually tell you, you know, how many patents have cited your particular patent that you're looking at, and then what other patents this particular patent has cited. Okay. This is a brand new patent, so there's not many options there. Okay, let me go back to the abstract here. Let's see. Okay, it looks like we have some questions here. Oh, that's an old question. Okay, so going back to the abstract section here, I want to point out some helpful parts of this. We have obviously the summary at the top. We have the application and publication history here in terms of dates. We have the assignee. In this case, it's a specific company. We have the inventor listed here. Sometimes those sometimes the assignee and the inventor are the same. It's just a single person or persons. In this case, it's the inventor is an individual working for this company. Okay. Other helpful things here are the classification code. So here under this listed here, IPC, CPC, GBC, those are different classification schemes. So each patent has a number of classification codes attached to it that link it to other related patents. So the one that I use the most is CPC. That's Cooperative Patent Classification Code. That's the harmonized classification system of both Europe and the United States. So for example, if you hover over each of these, okay, it'll tell you what each sort of letter or number of that patent means, and at the very bottom, that's the most specific category. Okay, so for example, there is a code here directly. So this one here, there's a CPC code for RNA vaccination. So if I were to click on that, all right, it'll take me to all the patents associated with that particular code. Okay. So let's see here. Any questions about searching PatSnap, looking for patents? Okay. Let's see here. Right. Right. I want to show you one other thing. So for example, this one here. This was, you know, suppose this was, you know, this is, let's see, look back. This is that MERS coronavirus vaccine. You know, suppose this was pretty close to what I was looking for. Not exact, but pretty close. You know, you can copy and paste. In this case, I'm copy and pasting the abstract, but you could do the claims section if you wanted, but that might be too much text. Here I'm copy and pasting the abstract, right? And going back to the PatSnap homepage, if I click on semantic search, okay, I can paste that block of text. In this case, it's the abstract of that specific patent. Click on search, and then PatSnap will use its own sort of algorithm to come up with a list of what it thinks are the most sort of the best patents related to that block of text that I put in there. So it's just another way that you can use. It's another way that you can search PatSnap. If you find a patent that's particularly relevant or close to what you're looking for, you can you can copy and paste that block of text. Again, you go back to the home page here, click on semantic, put it in there, and click search. Okay. All right. All right. Any questions about PatSnap, about searching patent resources, about patents in general? And again, feel free to put your question directly in the chat. Okay. Any questions at all related to the material I've covered today? The market research databases, patent databases. Any questions at all about, how you can use the MIT Library's resources for market research? Anything at all? Feel free to put your question in the Q&A. You can also, if you want to, just unmute yourself and ask your question out loud. But definitely, if you have any questions at all about my presentation, anything I've talked about today, feel free to ask me a question now. Looks like someone asked, will the session be recorded and shared for future reference? Yes, it is being recorded. And I believe these presentations will be posted on the TLO website, correct, Hara?
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you, so since this is an MIT only, I was going to get your permission if we can share with participants.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, so I will be sending it to all participants.
Other questions at all? Again, we have plenty of time. Feel free to ask me any questions at all related to my presentation. Oops, someone put a question in the chat. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was you. Okay, so we don't have many questions today. Just going back to the homepage of the Innovation Entrepreneurship Guide. Again, this is the guide I've used as kind of basis, the landing page, if you will, for today's presentation. I put the link in the chat at the beginning of the presentation, but you can always just Google MIT Libraries Entrepreneurship. It should be the first result. And also, if you're looking at this research guide on a laptop, my contact info should be at the very bottom. If you're looking at a regular screen, it should be on the right. But if you have any questions going forward, definitely get in touch. You're looking for market research on a particular product or service. You want to search the patent space for product or technology you're developing. Anything at all, don't hesitate to reach out to me. As I said at the beginning, we can communicate via email if you wanted, or we can schedule a one-on-one Zoom consultation, and I can work with you that way. Either way, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Looks like there may be a question. Okay, how do we create an account on PatSnap? Let me show you. Okay, let me log out. Okay, so someone asked how to create an account on PatSnap. Okay, so I was logged in, but if you weren't logged in, oh, I need to share my screen again. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so going back to the research guide here and the patents tab. From here, if you would click on PatSnap, I was logged in originally, but if you weren't logged in, obviously, or if you didn't have an account, would take you, you would land on this page, okay? And from here, you'd click on sign up. It should take you to this page here, okay? Make sure you're on MIT, if you're on campus, make sure you're on MIT Secure. And if you're off campus, make sure you're on MIT's VPN. You will need to be on that in order to be taken to this page where you would register using your MIT email. So that's how you would go about doing it. So you basically use your MIT email, you create a password, and you'd go from there. And that's what you'd use to log in each time you came to. So once you did that, from here, you just log in from here. As I said at the beginning, you don't need to create an account in order to use it. And you do have to be an MIT community member because you'd have to be on the VPN. But from here, you could also just click enter. This takes a minute here, but it would also take you directly to the search function within PatSnap. But I definitely recommend creating an account if you intend to do anything with your search results, etc. Okay, so Jeffrey, I hope that answered your question. Other questions? Again, we have plenty of time, so don't hesitate to ask a question. Okay, I don't see.
There are no further questions. Yeah. We can end the session faster and give everyone back some time.
Sure.
And
thanks for tuning in today to my presentation. Again, my name is Nicholas Albaugh. I'm the MIT Library's Innovation and Entrepreneurship Librarian, and definitely get in touch with me going forward if you have questions related to what I've gone over today.